Okay, we are live now, Mayor Aker.
Thank you very much. Welcome everybody on a wild, windy and wet day here in the city of Mount Pearl. Folks, welcome to March and the first council meeting here in our fine city. Council, you see before you the agenda, March 8th, 2022. And can I get a motion, please, to adopt the agenda? Moved by Councillor Fry and seconded by Councillor Locke. All in favor? And those opposed? That motion is carried. We're off to a good start. I'm going to begin with the land acknowledgement. We begin today's public council meeting by respectfully acknowledging the province of Newfoundland and Labrador as the ancestral homelands of many diverse populations of Indigenous peoples, including the Beothuk, who have contributed to 9,000 years of history on the island of Newfoundland. Today, this province is home to diverse populations of Indigenous and other people. We acknowledge with respect the diverse histories and cultures of the Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit. We honor this beautiful land together as we strive for collective healing and true reconciliation. Public council minutes for February 15th. It's been a little while since we last met. So you see before you the minutes. Please tell me or bring to other members of council's attention. Can you bring to our attention any errors or omissions, please? Hearing none, that's a fine job done by Ms. Mullins. Thank you very much. I'll call the question for the minutes from February 15th. On a motion of Councillor Lane and seconded by Councillor Antle, all in favor? And those opposed? Motion carried. Business arising, please. Feel free to quote the item number that you see listed in the minutes. It's a long set of minutes, going once, twice. There's an action report. Hearing none, I'm going to move on in the agenda, Council. We have a proclamation you see before you for Kidney Health Month, March 2022, whereas each day 1 in 10 Canadians learn that their kidneys have failed, and this number is on the rise. 45% of new kidney patients are under 65. Their survival will depend on dialysis treatments or a kidney transplant. In 2021, kidney disease was the 10th leading cause of death in Canada, and there are currently 645 people in Newfoundland and Labrador receiving dialysis treatments 3 or more times per week. There are 508 people living with functioning kidney transplants in this province. 12 people received a kidney transplant in 2021, and 44 remain on the wait list. Short-term financial assistance requests increased significantly in 2021, with 90 patients receiving close to $15,000. And whereas the Kidney Foundation of Canada is the only national health charity serving the needs of people living with kidney disease through funding research, providing educational and emotional support programs, promoting access to high-quality health care, and actively promoting awareness of and commitment to kidney health and organ donation. So whereas March 10th, 2022 is World Kidney Day, and the theme is Bridge the Knowledge Gap to Better Kidney Care, the Kidney Foundation Atlantic Branch aims to raise awareness of the importance of our kidneys to our overall health and to reduce the frequency and impact of kidney disease and its associated health problems. Therefore, I, the Mayor of Mount Pearl, on behalf of my colleagues and council, hereby proclaim that the month of March be observed as Kidney Health Month here in the city of Mount Pearl. I urge all citizens to become aware of your own kidney health and learn about the role your kidneys play in your body and the kidney disease warning signs to look for, as well as the awareness of the importance of organ donation registry. And on behalf of you folks, I'll sign that proclamation and date it today. Council, any follow-up on that from you? Deputy Mayor Kiley, please.
I just want to commend the advocates and work of this organization to bring awareness to this particular disease. It has a personal connection to me. My mom had passed in 2012 from renal cell carcinoma, and the diagnosis was literally in August, and she had passed in December. One of the things that we had identified and realized really quickly is that kidney research in relation to disease and those sort of things had a long way to go with regards to education and public understanding of it. And so I just want to commend that we are bringing awareness to that, and we're having conversations around that, and prevention, I think, is an important part of that. So I just wanted to share that information and thank the members who brought it forward and the organization that brought it forward as a proclamation. And I'm happy to support and observe that today as well.
Thank you. Councillor Royce.
Thank you, Worship. I as well like to congratulate this being brought forward as well. It to me is hit home because I had a couple of good friends of mine who've had 2 kidney transplants over the years. One a friend of mine at 17, and he had his second one at 48. So you know, and it's the big thing here is the awareness and the information going out, and the care. It's a big thing, I guess, with any disease like this. So I just want to add my support to this as well. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to move on in the agenda. Easter Seals Month. Whereas approximately 100,000 people of all ages in our province live with disabilities such as physical, sensory, cognitive, or other disabilities which present barriers to full participation in society. And whereas Easter Seals, Newfoundland and Labrador, is a charitable organization with a vision for a community where all people with disabilities live full, healthy, and active lives. A mission to engage, inspires, and maximize opportunities for people with disabilities of all ages by providing meaningful programs and services. Whereas Easter Seals, Newfoundland and Labrador's recreation programs help those with disabilities explore what they can do through independence camps, art and music therapy, and adaptive sports, promoting full, active, and healthy, socially engaged lifestyles. Whereas Easter Seals, Newfoundland and Labrador offers career and educational services to assist those with barriers to employment transition successfully from home and school into adulthood and independence, with a focus on preparing for, obtaining, and maintaining employment. Whereas Easter Seals, Newfoundland and Labrador, I Can Too disability awareness program activities foster disability awareness and sensitivity and provide tools for accessibility and inclusion. Therefore, with the support of my colleagues in council, as Mayor of Mount Pearl, I sign this proclamation and declare the month of March 2022 to be observed throughout as Easter Seals Month in the city of Mount Pearl. And I call upon all citizens of the city to support this worthwhile charitable organization and the people of all ages and all disabilities that it serves. Council, having read the proclamation, is there any response, any questions, any comments? Councillor Lane, apologies.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to say that Easter Seals does so much great work. You know, as a teacher and as I have families who have exceptionalities and, you know, have had help through Easter Seals, and they just do so much. And I'm so happy to support this because I just think it's such a worthwhile program. And I just want to show my support there.
Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor Kiley.
Waiting until I'm off mute. I absolutely want to build on what Councillor Lane had shared, and I absolutely agree. Easter Seals does so much for accessibility and inclusion, and I just wanted to commend an organization that has really been not only expanding within their own organizations, such as accessible playgrounds, employment programs, where they literally offer direct services and a life change for many of our citizens and across the province. But what they really do in a broader sense of is ensuring that we understand that everyone should have a life where they can enjoy working, living, playing, and it's all inclusive and accessible for them. And I think that's a wonderful initiative. And yeah, my heart's with any organization and those that champion it, that is making accessibility and inclusion an important topic. And it's something that our city supports, and we continue to. I just think about the accessible sleds, the adaptive technology that just came in. I think these sort of organizations inspire us to do better and do more as organizations. So I absolutely commend such advocates.
Thank you. Further commentary? Hearing none, as we move on the agenda, Councillor Rice is going to start Infrastructure and Public Works, I understand.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. So we met on February 9th, 2022, and we always have a great discussion at IPW. I have some information here, 2 items brought forward for information for council and general public and our citizens. Operation updates, Public Works Division operating in full winter mode with snow clearing and ice control and using COVID precautions as required. Weekly bulk garbage collection appointments are ongoing, as well as conditions as weather permits. One thing I'd like to add in regarding our winter maintenance is the last 2 or 3 weeks have been very challenging for IPW with light snow, freezing rain, ice pellets requiring significant ice salting and de-icing in our streets. Much of the past couple of weeks have been this type of weather, so it's very, very challenging for IPW. Just a note of caution on parking lots and all entrances to our public buildings here in the city due to changing weather conditions. Sidewalk clearing is ongoing. We get the sidewalk clearing done after we get our main streets and thoroughfares and areas done. So be patient. If you're a citizen or resident of Mount Pearl, just be patient. With our IPW department, we're doing the best we can under the conditions that everybody's observing for the last 2 or 3 weeks. And when we get all this done, our trail grooming will be done when possible. And we've done a phenomenal job over the past couple of weeks on our trail grooming. I've had a couple of responses back from several residents, and I've also spoken to a couple of our councillors as well, and they're singing praise for IPW. Even today, to enable us to remove the ice crush surfaces before it freezes up is very challenging overnight, because it's going from freezing to thawing and back and forth overnight. Our outdoor rink services has been challenging too with this type of weather. So we're trying to do whatever we can whenever possible. So be patient and bear with us. Engineering division preparing for our annual city maintenance tenders are being prepared right now by our engineering department for our 2022 construction season. Our facilities maintenance division, our winter maintenance is ongoing at all times. Just want to add that they're doing a phenomenal job at our pool and at our rinks. And this is an ongoing process. Part of the capital work projects status update, request for proposal for the owner's advisory services for the new civic center is now ongoing. The draft is completed and is under review for finalization. So I guess our engineering department is finalizing that now to go out. Our design building requests for proposals for ICIP projects is ongoing. And St. David's Avenue Smart Accessible Playground construction is scheduled to resume in May of 2022 and is scheduled for completion on August the 5th of 2022. And that's what I have, Your Worship.
Council, any questions? Thank you, Councillor Rice. Councillor Anton, please.
I couldn't find my hand, so I'm sorry, I had to race. Just a quick note on the St. David's Accessible Playground. I noticed the completion date is August the 5th. Is that a firm date, Director Rental?
Right now, Councillor Rental, that's a date that's provided to us through our contractor. So it's based on supply of equipment and materials to ensure that delivery date.
I'm just wondering, we are the city days and birthday of Mount Pearl is August 20 or July 21st. It'd be great if we can coincide 2 of these around the same time frame if we could,
Yeah, I'll take note and see what we can do, but these are dates that have been provided to us.
Thank you.
Hearing no further commentary, We're leading with Councillor Lane, I believe, the community development. No, Councillor Antle. Apologies.
Councillor Antle.
I knew you sent me a text too.
I know, yeah, it's one of those days, Mayor, it's one of those days.
Well, it's a good day.
There you go. I'll do the first four and then I'll pass it on to my colleague, Councillor Lane. Number one is the Mount Pearl Sports Alliance. Their first installment of an operating grant for 2022 is due. Believe it or not, summer's on the way. And it'll only be a couple more months and they're looking to start their program. So the committee recommends approval to release the first installment of the Sports Alliance 2022 operating grant in the amount of $87,000 to cover admin costs as per the memorandum of understanding between the city and the Alliance. And I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Antle, seconded by Councillor Lane. Questions, council? Any thoughts? I think the Sport Alliance is experiencing a bit of downtime with all the goings on with COVID.
And they're looking forward to a good season.
I'll call the question. All in favor? Those opposed? Thank you. Motion carries.
And number two is with reference to our Mount Pearl Frosty Festival. It's the first installment of their operating grant of 2022. And just a couple of notes on this before we get into the movement. You know, Frosty Festival was all ready to go this year. Everything was ready to start, and and COVID came. And the festival was cancelled due to the outbreak of COVID. But many of the events were already planned and scheduled with advertising and circulation, and there were many commitments were already made that they couldn't back out of. We had some entertainment that was also booked and deposits were paid, and they couldn't really get out of that. Now they're working with the entertainment right now to try to move them forward for the following year. And the Frosty board, even though we never had carnival this year, they still have costs regardless of whether the festival went ahead or not. Some of these purchases were made for items for the canceled festival and may be utilized in the future. So the committee recommends approval for the first installment of Frosty Festival's 2022 operating subsidy in the amount of $17,500 as per the memorandum of understanding between the city and the Mount Pearl Frosty Incorporated. And I so move.
It is again moved by Councillor Antle and second by Councillor Lane. Questions, folks? A good explanation, Councillor, as to we didn't quite have a festival. We didn't have a festival this year, but sometimes some of the funding, has to be laid out beforehand, and a lot of this will be salvaged. I think when they do finally celebrate number 40. Councillor Rice.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. No, I just want to put my support behind the Frosty Festival Committee, because we had a bit of discussion on this through council and committee of the whole. A lot of these groups had to be booked a year in advance, and we always provide the best possible entertainment and do what we can for Frosty Festival, because it's very important to book groups out in advance. And, if we can see a time, sometime this summer to have some of those musicians and activities take place, I'd love to see that happen, So I'm sure we're going to have much discussion going forward on this, but I certainly put my support behind giving that payment out.
Deputy Mayor Hayley, please.
And to echo and build upon Councillor Rice's points, I want to just offer and commend the significant amount of volunteers that are attached to this organization. The board is a volunteer board, and predominantly most of the large scale events that we see is being done by a tremendous component of community volunteers. And I know that over the past 2 years, it has been an exceptionally difficult time for the Frosty Committee, for organizations, for arts and culture in our province, and directly related to the impacts of COVID. And so when I see the work in the operating grants, and absolutely, I fully support what support we can give to ensure that next year, as we move in an area post-COVID, where there's less risk, that we ensure that during these times that are so difficult for our arts and culture, our community, our volunteers, we keep them going and know that, we know it's not easy having to make decisions moving forward, working within even the environment of COVID during these times, trying to navigate from one month or the next, whether we can have a large scale, big scale event. This is no easy endeavor. And I just wanted to make that point that I commend the amount of work and pivots and flexibility and nimbleness that a lot of these community groups have had to do over the last 2 years. And I'm hopeful that moving forward in the next year, we're going to see Frosty again, and we're going to see some of that spirit and work. And I know what a lot of the volunteers wanted to do this year, wanted to do last year, will come back.
Thank you much. Anybody else before I call the question? All in favor? Contrary-minded, and motion carried. Thanks, folks.
Thank you all. I'm sure the Frosty are all quite happy. Number 3, the swimming lessons. Registration began on March the 7th for Mount Pearl residents, and it started at 5 o'clock. And yesterday we were in a committee meeting, and Sean McKenna was telling us then that registration was going quite quickly. So it's good to see. People can't wait to start swimming again. And the swimming registration will start place on March 9th for non-residents. And this information is already on our website, and I'll just pass that for our FYI. Number 4, it's always good news. Our committee only brings good news, right? And it's looking forward to a party. As Councillor Royce was saying, we're going to get together somehow, and and our community development committee came up with a great idea. And the first thing is on March 19th, we're having a tailgate party at Team Gusha parking lot. This is an outside event, right? It's a non-alcoholic event. It's all for families. It's all geared towards families. And if you know what a tailgate party is, well, the City of Mount Pearl are hosting one. It's down to the Team Gusha on March 19th, and we're using the maskless men. And so bring some food, bring your family, bring your friends and your tables, and sit down in the trunk of your car, and you can dance within your group. And you gather around your tailgate, you can cook up, you can talk to your neighbors, and mission is just with a perishable food item. We're going to keep up to date on Facebook when we reach capacity, and we will certainly will know that it will reach capacity. This is on our Facebook right now, and it's already been talked about a lot in the community. But I think this is our first event that we can actually get out. It's outside, and we can get out and talk to our neighbors. We can wave to people, and the maskless men are going to do a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous job. Certainly looking forward.
Are you going to be going, Councillor?
I think I may make it, yes.
I have a costume I think we could find for you if you're interested. Just let us know.
Well, I think myself and Councillor Fry already have the outfits, so I think we're dressed.
I've seen the hat. Yes.
Yeah. It's the only time I could wear a hat that I'm the same height as Councillor Fry.
I'm going to move to Councillor Rice on that note.
There you go.
I give him the thumbs up there.
Yeah. And yeah, that's
all good. No motion required. No, looking forward to it. It'll be one of the first as things start to reopen a little bit or restrictions get lifted. You can always enjoy an outdoor event, and I think it's relatively safe compared to indoor events, especially this time of the year. And yeah, St. Patrick's Day, everybody's going to be celebrating that week.
Yeah. And now I'll pass it over to Councillor Lane.
Thank you very much, Councillor Randall. So the next thing we have on our agenda is another exciting item, which is our Easter Day Camp, which will be taking place April 18th to the 22nd, 2022. The registration dates for the Easter Day Camp are upon us. So Mount Pearl residents is taking place today, actually, at 5 p.m. And it opens for non-residents on March 10th at 5 p.m. And it is online registration only. So it'll be taking place at the Reed Center, and children must be in grades kindergarten to 6 to participate in this. The information is posted on the city's website and also on social media. So that should be a great time. Next item we have here is proposed lounge use for Big Cheese Pizza, which is located at 29 to 33 Commonwealth Avenue. So the committee recommends the application submitted by Big Cheese Pizza to introduce a lounge within the existing business location to be approved as discretionary use application, and that a development permit be issued subject to section 4.20 of the Mount Pearl Development Regulations, and subject to the following conditions that you can see there, Council. So a notice of the application was posted on the city's website and was published in the Telegram on Saturday, February 12th, 2022. And notice was also circulated to 144 residents, businesses, property owners within the 150-meter radius of the business. on February 9th, 2022. So we did set up a public briefing session on this. However, we had no submissions as of 12 noon on Tuesday, February 22nd. So because of that, we decided to cancel the briefing session. So the committee does recommend this, and I so move.
Apologies, thank you. On motion from Councillor Lane, second by Councillor Antle. Any comments or any questions? Pretty routine redevelopment of an existing property. I'll call the question. All in favor? And those opposed? Motion carried. Back to you, Councillor Lane.
Okay, next we have a development permit listing from February 14th to March 4th, 2022. The committee recommends that the following development permit be approved as presented for the period of February 14th to March 4th, 2022. And we just have the one there, CMT Inc. Yeah, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Lane, seconded by Councillor Antle. All in favor? Contrary-minded? And that one's carried. Thank you.
Okay, and the last thing on our agenda here today is the building and occupancy permit listing from February 14th to March 4th, 2022. So the committee recommends that the building permit listings be approved from February 14th to March 4th, showing a total construction value of $5,050,500. So we recommend this be approved, and further that the occupancy permit listing be accepted as presented. So council, you can see it there in your kits. So we have a lot of renovations going on here. Some office space, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Lane and seconded by Councillor Antle. We've got building construction residential, building construction commercial, occupancy permits. I'm trying to do the math here. So 4,619,000 and 431. I got you now. 5,000,005. There's a big one there on Black Marsh Road, Councillor. 930 to 940. It's a two-story building, I think, that's gone up there. Any word when that might be completed, Director Collins?
I don't have a completion date, but they're very active. It's anyone that's driven by there, that is going up quite quickly. And it's an electric company. It's electronic. So it's good news.
Yeah. Further comments or questions? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion carried. Now we're done with the Community Development Committee. Thank you, Councillor. We're going to move to the Corporate Services and Economic Development Committee report. I think it's Councillor Locke. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll take the first three items on our report, and then I'll turn it over to Deputy Mayor Kiley. First one for us here, Your Worship, are the invoices for approval. As you can see here, we have 9 listed in total, and the total value comes to $366,943.12. Just to see we got some repairs to our Summit Center splash pad, our wastewater, our paratransit, our transportation commission. So these are regular bills in some cases. Number 3, they're life works. You'll see monthly fees from December 2021 to February, and they are for our EFAP program. So again, we have 9 in total for $366,943.12. And I move that these be accepted as presented.
Moved by Councillor Locke and seconded, thank you, by the Deputy Mayor. Councillor Antle.
Yes, Councillor Locke, I happened to notice that I'm just here. The number, sorry about this, I already had the question. Number 4, the transit fee for the GO bus was $18,445, and number 5 for November was $37,000. Why was the big gap there? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm just thinking maybe January is a slower month. November, prior to November, Christmas, getting around, visiting perhaps.
Could be the effect of COVID too.
I was just going to say, yeah, restrictions were a little lesser in November, and again we went into the Omicron post Christmas. So I would say they all factored into that, Councillor Antle.
Well, I just thought that it's usually around $25,000 if I remember correctly. All right, for that's their average. But I noticed that November seemed to be, I understand that January was $18,000, and I should have passed this on earlier on. I just happened to notice it. It just seems like November seemed to be very high.
Mhm.
I wonder, Director Pittman, could the invoice for 37,000 be November and December? It might be a descriptor issue.
So no, it's just we had 342 Go Bus trips in it really comes down to Go Bus. We had 342 Go Bus trips in November, but we only had 64 in January. So you can see the really big discrepancy in terms of the Go Bus. That's where the significant difference in cost comes in.
Makes sense. But the December bill is what I'm questioning. How come the December bill wouldn't be here? It seems like there's a gap. But that's a takeaway. That's a takeaway for next time. Okay. Yep. Thanks. Councillor Antle still? Or your hand is up?
I was just wondering how come. I mean, for the residents, I mean, our Go Bus is costing us, upwards of maybe $500,000 a year, and it's just it's a sizable chunk of change that we're spending on our Go Bus.
Agreed. Councillor Deputy Mayor.
I just wanted to echo, Councillor Angel's concerns around the fees, and of course, ultimately, this is based on ridership and pay-per usage in that way. It'd be interesting to know if certain months are more usable than others. I think, with regards to December, certainly this was a different December with regards to public health measures and being able to traverse across the city. But to your point, the usage cost to this is large, is significant. And so I think this is a larger conversation when it comes to, is there a better way to be able to be providing that service and in a way that's more effective and certainly fiscally prudent.
I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion is carried.
Thank you, Your Worship. The second item for our committee tonight is the payment registry for the period of February the 10th to March 1st. And the total here, as you can see, is $1,064,653.20. So you'll see the several pages of invoices and payments that are made there. It's for information purposes. I don't know if any of our council colleagues have any questions with respect to any of those.
Yeah, I know the MVT has paid $33,000 in February, so that likely might be the December bill, but we'll follow that one up. And at the end of the day, it's all under a contractual relationship that we have with MVT, as well as the St. John's Transportation Commission. Seeing nothing else, I'll ask you to move on, Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. And something just came to mind now in light of our gas hike increases over the past couple of weeks. To Councillor Antle's point, this is a very expensive service that we're providing, and we'll have to wait and see what the gas impact and diesel impact has on this service going forward. The third item for us, Your Worship, has to do with professional development requests from our council colleagues, and this is to attend the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Conference and Trade Show, June the 2nd to the 5th, being held this year in Regina, Saskatchewan. So the mayor and 5 of the council members will be attending, all except myself. The costs are in line with our professional development policy and budget. And these events are very useful. It's nice to see that we're getting back in person again. I've attended many of these over my time on council, and they are invaluable. The information that you learn at the sessions, the networking that you're able to do, the friends that you make and the people that you meet from right across our country in little towns and big cities, and just getting a chance to share ideas and experiences. It always energizes me, and I'm sure when my colleagues get back from this, they'll be filled with gusto and new ideas and inspired. So I'm happy to bring this forward, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Locke, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. All in favor? Contrary-minded? Thank you. Motion carried.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'll turn it over to Deputy Mayor now for the last 2 items for our report. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Locke. I have 2 additional items to add. The initial one is a tax deferral. And of course, that's in line with our low-income earners policy. So it's for account 700400. And as you can see in your kits, it's identified there for $2,474.73. And I so move.
It is moved by Deputy Mayor Kiley and seconded by Councillor Locke. Any questions? Pretty standard. Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary-minded? That is carried as well. Thanks.
And so the second and the fifth and final item for our Corporate Services Economic Development Committee is a notice of motion. And really, this is just about kind of ensuring that our public is presented with an accurate, complete set of council minutes for anyone who wants to see them, look at them, review them in a timely manner. As it is written right now within our bylaws, there's a bit of lack of clarity as to certain dates and parameters. So it was from an experience of somebody identifying or looking for our minutes and recognizing, okay, well, what exactly are the time frames and timelines when it's necessary to ensure those are accurate and out to the public. So in accordance with section specifically 4.30 of the Rules and Procedures of the City of Mount Pearl Act, take notice that I will at a regular meeting of council move to amend the text of the city's rules and procedures that, if enacted, will, and here's the little amendments we are doing under section 4.6, delete following completion with a statement to the effect that such minutes are not the official transcript, which can only be provided following the adoption at the next meeting of council. We're going to replace that with the following their adoption at a public meeting of council. So it's specific to a public meeting and a date and time. And so that section will read, minutes of the public council meeting will be placed on the city's website within 3 working days following their adoption at a public meeting of council. So that way we know exactly the time, what working days are identified, and so people are aware and know when to expect those minutes to be available. So throughout the rules and procedures, we made any secondary grammatical edits required to make sure that that's effectively incorporated into the changes described above, just making sure that's all are accurate. And also throughout the rules of procedures, we make any other kind of corrections or formatting required for the edits so it's identified. So like if there was a typo or any alterations. So those sort of items were actually incorporated into this motion. And like I said, this is really just to ensure that the public know when to expect minutes, how they are laid out, and that we can still ensure that they're done in a timely manner. So we'd like to just move that here. That motion, or is that going into the committee, the whole?
We're only giving notice of motion. We will read the motion again. We will at the time of the motion in 2 weeks or 4 weeks, and then we will debate and vote. But I guess according to our rules of procedure, it needs to be tabled here.
Right.
And just given a briefing like you've done really admirably, just to let everybody know what this is, which is really what it's all about. So no need for a motion, but hold that thought for 2 weeks. I see our city clerk nodding her head.
Thank you. And yes, I want to just commend our city clerk who had done the work and review. And like I said, it's always great. I'm a big fan of governance and bylaw tweaks because it usually has a great impact on how we're doing things in an accountable manner and a better manner. So thank you very much to our city clerk, Ms. Brad.
That brings an end to our agenda, folks. And I'd like to prime the roundtable by saying, this is a day of reflection and a day of celebration of leadership. This is International Women's Day, March 8th, celebrated for many, many years. You've often heard the saying about breaking the glass ceiling. So I'd like to I'm not going to take my turn now, but just throw that out there. This may be a good time to celebrate all the good leadership we see in our city, our province, and our country. I believe at the last meeting, we had Councillor Rice go first. So therefore, that would mean if I go around the table, I think I'm coming across to Councillor Lane. Have I got that right? Councillor Lane, you get to go first. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Mayor. So given that it's International Women's Day, which is a very important day, I'd just like to commemorate a woman in history who definitely helped change the world. That would be Margaret Thatcher. So I'm sure most of us are familiar with her. So she's Britain's first female prime minister, and she earned the title of the Iron Lady, and she's certainly earned it for her strong opinion, strict policy, and firm leadership. And she's very important. And as a female in politics, she's definitely somebody who stands out for me. And in terms of what's going on here in the city right now, I do have a couple of things. So a very awesome good news story is our 2 new adaptive sleds that we have at Powers Pond. So now not only do we have snowshoes and skis for use, we also have these sleds. It's on a first come, first served basis. So if anybody would like to avail of these, I certainly encourage you to do so. And that's it for me, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Fry.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of things. The Municipal Mental Health Task Force held their webinar for February, and it was hosted by Gary Summers, and it was amazing. The title didn't do it justice. The title was Post-Holiday Season Mental Health. But if anybody knows Gary, they know how amazing he is. It was just a powerful, powerful session. I highly recommend that you guys, I know a lot of you do, but take advantage of the webinars that take place the 3rd Thursday of every month. The Mental Health Task Force does great work, and there's a lot of thought put into the topics, and they're always, always very valuable. I'd also like to congratulate the Admiralty House Museum on their memories of the Frosty Festival. I know some colleagues, you guys, and we all had an opportunity to visit the Admiralty House and look at some of the photos and the memories. And it's kind of fitting now being the 40th anniversary of Frosty. I know I certainly miss it. And I know all Mount Pearlians miss it because it's such a big part of our winters. And I was glad earlier that the Frosty Festival Committee were commended for the work that they do, because I know we all love the Frosty Festival so much, and the organizers have a vested interest in it, and they're so passionate about it, and they plan it. So I can only imagine the disappointment that they must feel to put all that work and effort and thought and process into it, only to have it not be able to go ahead. So I just wanted to bring that up. Some colleagues and I attended the St. John Ambulance national launch of our opioid poisoning response training program. And that was held at the St. John's Ambulance. And I found that one very interesting. It was talking about opioid poisoning. It's the politically correct way of saying drug overdose. That's not appropriate. And it's more friendly and it's more inviting. There's, we can't put our heads in the sand for this. And St. John Ambulance have been doing great work. And when you look at the number of lives lost because of opioid poisoning, these are people's children, brothers, sisters, parents. They matter, and this is significant. So I commend St. John Ambulance for the work that they do and providing us all with the kits and the guidance of what to do in the event of an opioid poisoning. Also, I attended the Eastern Health and the Northeast Avalon checkpoint. And that one was pretty interesting as well. As we all know, restrictions are being lifted next week. But I think it's important to recognize that we still need to keep our guard up. It's out there, it's in the community. From Saturday to Monday, there were 1,244 new cases reported. And those are the ones that were reported. Those aren't the ones that tested positive on rapid tests or have been close contacts with others. This is something, just because the the health measures are being lifted, doesn't mean that it's eradicated from our society and we can carry on as normal. It's giving us a bit more freedom, but I just want to remind people to use caution, because it's not nice and nobody wants to get sick. And finally, for me, I would like to take the opportunity to celebrate National Women's Day, and I was genuinely trying to think of somebody that I wanted to highlight, and of course, my mother comes to mind, but I mean, everybody's mother is pretty awesome. And then I was thinking about Lucy Stoyles, because Lucy is the reason why I got into politics. As women, we tend to doubt ourselves and we doubt our abilities. We want to, we know we're capable, but then we second guess ourselves. And sometimes when another woman comes along and says, you know what, I think you should do this, I think you would be great at it. That's all we need, as women, to encourage other women is so powerful. And then I thought about that and I said, well, I've already expressed how much Lucy means to me when she retired. So today I want to celebrate all of the women here on the screen, because everybody here they're tremendous. They work, they have families, they've been through a lot of stuff in life and they keep going, and they are just extraordinary human beings and leaders in our community. And I can't pick just one, because you guys are all wonderful. And I thank you for being part of my life and for, I consider friends. So happy International Women's Day. And that's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Said, thank you very much. Councillor Locke.
Mayor, with your leave, in spirit of International Women's Day, I would like for Deputy Mayor to speak before me. Let our three women speak first tonight.
Fair enough. Deputy Mayor Cotty, please.
Thank you. Great. Thanks to my colleague for offering me some space there. And I love this day. This is an incredible day. This is not my first International Women's Day, but I do remember the first time I understood that March 8th was International Women's Day. At the time, I was working at the St. John's Status for Women Council, and we were running an empowerment program. And I just want to share this story because I think it's really relevant to what my colleagues have continually shared with me, and I'm learning myself, that it doesn't take necessarily one person or a major accolades to find the most resilient and inspiring mentors around you. And what I had learned through the empowerment program, which was a collection of women who had been survivors of interpersonal violence. We did a lot of work around what it means to understand and feel empowered and be a leader in our worlds. And one of the things we recognize that leadership and women's equality doesn't have to come from a large source or big source, but within our own lives, that the personal truly is political. And I could tell you from the stories I had shared, people had shared, from the wisdom that was given in that room, and also just the resilience of strength of what people had gone through and persevered. Not only that, were mentors in their own right to their family members, to people around them, and even to go to a place to share in a way that's supportive was absolutely incredible. And I think that is really the true essence of the International Women's Day, that we all have the ability as women to be a leader and to change a life around us. And in fact, I think that that's just it's a significant amount of again, spirit and support that I have received from almost everyone, whether it's family, friends, and absolutely everybody on the screen, that it's about recognizing your own strength and your own power and your own ability to be a leader and a mentor, or make a draw in the sand to say, no, I'm going to stick to my guns on this, or reach out for help. All of these things are positions of help, of strength. And I'm going to leave. The only other thing too is I was on a Girl Guides Sparks International Women's Day little event we had last week. And I'm going to share again, you don't have to be any age or have anything under your belt to give inspiration for someone to lead. So I had asked the question to a bunch of girls who were about, 4 or 5 years old about, just imagine, because they were wondering, well, what do you do on city council? And I'm like, it's about taking care of your community and making decisions and being a leader. And I said, it's sometimes hard for girls and women to be leaders when, let's just say you're in a room and there's, say, 10 of you in there. And what would happen, say, if only out of the 10, there's only so many women who have a voice? Or, out of that so many people, there's not many. And it's like, well, a girl had shared, it's like, well, to me, you could lose your courage. And there's something to be said. And I think it's really important to say that the more we see around these screens ourselves and people like ourselves, that's where courage is coming from. It's not an innate skill. It's about seeing, I think, more representation and more of ourselves within the discussions and at the tables and at the leadership level. So that was from literally a Sparks 5-year-old to know and acknowledge and know that herself. So that's all I'm going to say about that. It's a really great event, and I want to say again, congratulations to everyone. On an other note, I just wanted to offer some incredible accolades to our corporate service and economic development team. And I'm incredibly proud and excited they have just recently received a Marketing Canada Awards for the EDAC Economic Development Association of Canada for our marketing campaign, Upgrade to Mount Pearl. And I think it demonstrates a lot of our team's pursuit for innovation and enhanced public engagement and just progressive development. So accolades to our team. And of course, we have Director Kathy Pittman, another fabulous woman who is leading that and working with that team to ensure those things happen. So thank you very much. I just wanted to give accolades to that as well.
Thank you. Very well said. Great context too for International Women's Day. Hey, it's generational change we're looking for. It starts with our youth, but it trickles all the way up. And the more it goes up, the more we kick that ceiling even further and further away. Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree. And I'm looking forward to one day smashing that ceiling, because I too have a beautiful little granddaughter now who recently turned 4. And I remind her every time I'm with her. And I tell her how strong she is and beautiful she is and intelligent she is. So I too am working to break that glass ceiling. But speaking of accolades, I want to highlight the Starlights synchro skating team for the Mount Pearl Paradise Skating Club, the 2022 Skate Canada Synchronized Skating Champions. I mean, this is a huge, huge accomplishment. And my hat goes off to them, especially in light of all the COVID and the restrictions, and they still were able to do it. So I was so delighted when I saw that news. So that's one good news story I wanted to share. The other is our own Steve Watson. He was in the National Ice Carving Championship out in Western Newfoundland, and he and his son, and I believe he placed 3rd in the National Ice Carving Championship. So again, congratulations to Steve. We know him as our town crier. He's a great chef, a great community volunteer. So I just wanted to acknowledge Steve and his son for that accomplishment. The deputy mayor did mention our economic development team. I just have to echo that, because I was speechless at our meeting yesterday when I was complimenting. I mean, we have such a great team of professionals, and they're the first ones to acknowledge, while they're mentioned as the winners of this. It's organizational wide. They're quick to acknowledge all the help from all departments that allow them to do the great work that they do. As the deputy mayor said, they won 2 awards this year. Now last week, and I don't know if Ms. Pittman can tell me, I know they were hoping to be contenders for the EDAC Cup. Has that been announced yet, Ms. Pittman, or not yet? So I do know.
No.
I mean, that is the top prize, and we'll all remember. Those of us who were here at the time in 2019, our team won the Economic Development Associations of Canada's Cup. They won the top award in the country. So, we're poised, great position for economic development with such a great team of professionals. So again, as I said yesterday, they continue to do us proud. So that's another good news story. I have to acknowledge the circumstance in Ukraine. I know it's on all of our minds, and you can't turn on the radio or open a newspaper or social media or watch the television news. It is absolutely horrendous what is ongoing there. And, to say my heart goes out to these folk, And speaking with some of the younger folk, like they're in disbelief that in this day and age, that this is actually happening. And the confusion that they have, that the rest of the world seems to be sat back watching this take place. And the younger folk, they're like, why don't we intervene? Where's the rest of the world doing this? And it's tough to explain. It's a very complex circumstance. But I know our country has reached out to open our arms to any Ukrainians that wish to come here, temporarily or on a long-term basis. And I certainly know if any come to this province, that our city will certainly welcome any of these folk with open arms to help them get through these trying times. So I just wanted to publicly acknowledge, and I was so delighted how quickly, our team turned around and we raised the Ukrainian flags. So thanks to our staff for doing that quickly, and also putting up on our summit screen, just small acts, but just to let people know that, we are thinking of them, and we're hoping for a quick resolution to this, again, this horrendous event that's ongoing. And the last one for me, Your Worship, I too want to talk about International Women's Day. And, reflecting on this, like Councillor Fry said, there are just so many people. But the first person that came on in terms of breaking the glass ceilings, and this only came to mind initially because I coached the female hockey team at our school for 10 years. And when I first went to the school, of course, I had a history of coaching in the city. The females came and asked me to coach, and then the guys came and asked me to coach. But I gave the girls preference because they approached me first. And I have to say, they were inexperienced. There was only 2 teams in the league, us and Queen Elizabeth. We played, I think, 15 games, and we lost 15 games. We were the bad news bears. But the determination and the fun that these girls had was incredible. And the beauty of it was we lost 15-1 in the first game, but in the 15th game, we lost 4-2. So my girls showed great improvement and the perseverance and dedication. And they were just so excited that they were playing hockey, because at that time, only boys played hockey. So I was delighted to be a part of that. So the person that came to mind was Hayley Wickenheiser, and the great Canadian hockey player, and what she has done. She played on the national teams, brought home gold medals, went to Europe, played in the male league over there and held her own over there, finished her hockey career, went on to be a medical doctor, and is now with the Toronto Maple Leafs as a senior director of player development. So she's one of the people that came to mind. And on a personal note, I spent 10 years at Memorial University, and there were 2 women out there, Dr. Joe Scheuer and Professor Karen Butler. And they were 2 leaders in their fields. They were academics. They were brilliant. They are brilliant, but they just had a way of dealing with their students as well. So they were true leaders in their field as well. So I do want to tip my hat to them, because they had a great impact on me personally. And of course, I want to end by the 6 women that are on screen, the other one whose picture is not up here, who do a phenomenal job. I am so proud to say that I'm working with you guys. I watch you in action day in and day out. Your professionalism, your competence, your strength, it's an inspiration to me. So to you guys, I wish you happy International Women's Day. And please know how much I appreciate you guys and how much I enjoy working with you each and every day. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Now we're going to move to Councillor Antle, please.
How come I gotta follow Jim Locke or Councillor Locke? Yeah, I've after changed my notes 10 times because everybody commented on so many different things, and it's when I want to talk about International Women's Day, and I've checked a few things, and I'm after changed my notes 100 times, but it's an opportunity for us as men to think about the gender equality and how we could get better at that. And I was thinking about different things, and we all talk about things, but I grew up. If anybody knew my mother, right, I promise you, you knew a woman was equal in her eyes. She always stood up for women. I can't believe I'm getting soaky, right? But that's where I started, and I continued that right on up to, excuse me, and I continued that right on through. And now I got an opportunity, You know, my wife is very strong, but I had the opportunity to deal with you guys. And there's 3 counselors, Dana, Cassie, Stacy. You know, we have such strong women that we had to deal with in the city of Mount Pearl. We're very, very lucky to have these women in. I do whatever I can to make sure. I can't believe I'm Anyhow, I'm going to move on from that. On March the 2nd, we as the city got together and we had we supported a Cindy Hall. And City Hall is a resident of the city of Mount Pearl, and she started on her own little pantries. And these little pantries are all throughout the city. We have 6 and we have 5 in the city, 1 at the Neil Windsor building. We have 1 at City Hall, 1 at Park Place, 1 at the Gloria Pearson Center, 1 at the Glacier, and 1 at the Reed Community Center. And these pantries are something that Cindy created on her own, and we helped her with making these things. But they're for toiletries and items that, you know, people around the city may need. And if anybody wanted a chance to put some stuff into these, they're always used. I was talking to Cindy not too long ago, and they're constantly being used now and replenished by anybody within the city. I have to see Councillor Fry said some of the Girl Guides were talking about doing this. And this is a real opportunity to drop off things in these boxes and help out the less fortunate wherever we can. Also, I happen to see that Special Olympics, thank you very much, Chelsea, Councillor Lane. Special Olympics are opening up a thrift store here on Topsail Road, 1154 Topsail Road. And everybody got a chance to drop by and support the Special Olympics and support their thrift store. We also noticed our cross-country skiing and horseshoe programs are alive and well in the city of Mount Pearl. Hopefully we're going to keep our snow. I know they're starting to melt. But on top of that, you know, as Councillor Fry talked about, or Councillor Lane talked about, the adaptable snow sleds are out and about right now. We have 2 here in the city, and they're being used quite a bit. I talked a little bit about the annex, and we'll move on from that. I want to talk about the City of Mount Pearl's economic development team. As you just talked about, I'm certainly proud of our city's economic development team. I mean, they stand on their own and they do such a fabulous, fabulous job. And I can't stress enough how happy I am with our city's economic development team. I happen to share it on LinkedIn. And I just checked on LinkedIn this afternoon. And I only put it up yesterday talking about how proud I was of our city's economic development team. Is that, you know, it was 158 friends of mine commented on it. And so, you know, Mount Pearl's being well looked after. You know, when you see, they did such a great job. It's a great program, upgrade to Mount Pearl. And it's certainly, you know, it's going right across Canada. I mean, Jeremy's doing such a great job sending this, you know, to everywhere we possibly can. So our city is being looked after. And now that I got all that done, it's Happy International Women's Day. And I wish you all well. And sorry for being a sook. Thank you. That's everything.
Well said, Councillor. Councillor Rice.
Thank you, Worship. I'd love to see that soft spot there, Councillor Antle. Nothing wrong with it. So I have a few things to add here. So I'd like to start off by saying I certainly, as I watch TV, my support for Ukraine. You know, I had to side with Councillor Lockyer on this one. I mean, what's happening over there is horrendous. And I was very pleased that everybody voted to put that flag up at the city really quickly and for the support. And like I said, we can't imagine what those families and those little kids and mothers and fathers are all going through. Families being separated, you know, fathers getting staying there, and the kids and the mothers getting on the buses and being transported, and probably never to see their loved one again. I can't even imagine what they're going through. So I certainly put my support for them as well. And I hope for peace over there in the next short period. The next one I'd like to add is I had the pleasure of attending Admiralty House and the Frosty Festival, about the 25th year anniversary and 40 years for the Frosty Festival. It was a phenomenal event, and I was so happy to see that the board and the team over there are really enthusiastic about moving Admiralty House and the Frosty Festival, I guess, display forward. I think I can see great things happening over there in the next short period. Next item I got on my agenda is the tailgate party. I will be attending this. I think it's phenomenal to have, to get families together, have a barbecue, even if it's just hot dogs and hamburgers type of thing. So I think that's going to be a great event just to get everybody out. It's your own prerogative if you want to wear a mask down there, but you stick in your own group and stick to your own bubble type of thing, I guess. But the option is still there to wear the mask after that date of March 14th for if you feel you need to do that. I'd like to acknowledge actually 3 of the MPSH boys 17U players who will be traveling to Vancouver this coming summer to have a tryout and participate with the Whitecaps FC camp. Colin Dyer, Logan Holloway, and Nathan Osborne. So 3 of those young fellas are selected part of the MPSH program. And I heard the 3 of them are phenomenal players, and there might be something there come out of that for one of those young fellas. Next one I have to add is I'd like to actually give a shout out to our IPW team because as we get up in the mornings, if we're early in the mornings or late in the nighttime, we've had horrendous amount of freezing rain and snow periods, and then we've had like 12 to 14, but this has been ongoing now for quite a period. And the nimble, I guess we'll use this word again, the nimble way that they I guess get out and do the salting and the snow clearing and what they do to our city streets and our sidewalk clearing, they're doing a phenomenal job. So I just want to do a big shout out to them. And we also the economic development team, not only the economic development team, but also the whole team at the city. I mean, we've won so many awards in the city over the years, and it goes to show the teamwork and the phenomenal group that we have down at the city. So I just want to give a big shout out to the first economic development team for their 2 awards, but also all the other groups at the city. I mean, there's lots of stuff done behind the scenes, but it's not done without teamwork. So I want to give a big shout out to them as well. And the last one, and not the least one, is I wouldn't be remiss if I never acknowledged Happy International Women's Day. Me as well, I've been around strong women all my life, my mother included. She was the heart and soul of my family. And like Bill mentioned a few minutes ago, when Councillor Randall said, you knew not to challenge her on certain stuff. So, she was the iron fist of our family as well. And I certainly learned, I guess, my way about, the way I came and my personality, she was a strong part of that. And I certainly want to acknowledge the equal partners that we have in the city. There's no male and female here or anybody that's in this city. We're all equal. We're a team. So I just want to acknowledge all the wonderful women, how hard you girls work. And we have a phenomenal, you've got strong personalities, good to see, and keeps us, I guess, us men on our toes all the time. But I just want to acknowledge, we really appreciate your input, your support, and your knowledge. So I just want to say a big congratulations on International Women's Day. And that's it for me, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Well, geez, what more can I add to that? But, frankly, the story coming out of the Ukraine, the Western European countries, Canada, the United States, frankly, we have to make sure we avoid a nuclear war. And unfortunately, I think that's part of the hand and the cards that are being played here. What's happening is inhumane at the end of the day. It's beyond description. We live in a very, very good place here in Newfoundland and Labrador and Canada. So we should count our blessings every day and provide as much moral, economic support as we can for those in the Ukraine. But on to to International Women's Day. I'm surrounded and I've reflected on people in my family who have gone on to become engineers and doctors. And some of those folks are, they're in non-traditional positions, but that doesn't downplay those women who work in traditional roles. And it's all about rising to the level that you want to rise, and I wanted to recognize a friend of mine today. Her name is Liz. She lives here in Mount Pearl. She initially started off working with Air Canada and ultimately became a nurse. She raised 2 fine young sons, several dogs, a husband, and she's a survivor of breast cancer twice. So she managed that all throughout her family life, her working career, and also she's been a great volunteer here in the city. So I wanted to acknowledge my friend Liz. She'd kill me if I said her last name, so forgive me. But she's reached the heights that she espoused to. Nobody stood in her way. And I can frankly tell you, if someone did stand in her way, they would certainly know about it really, really quickly. But to my extended family here, at the city of Mount Pearl, I look at my colleagues on council, Deputy Mayor Kiley, Councillor Fry, Councillor Lane. It's as Councillor Fry sometimes says, it's a brother-sister relationship sometimes. And I won't get into all the details of her quote, but it's fabulous to work with you. But I think as Councillor Rice said, and maybe others said, working with you is all about working as a team towards the same common goal. Frankly, disagreeing from time to time. But I must say to you folks on council, whether it's the male component or the female, we work really, really well together. But I think what Chelsea, and if I can say Isabel and Nicole bring is slightly different perspectives from our place in life and what we espouse. So I'm really glad to be part of the team that works with you and helps to support you. And I know our staff, under the leadership of Dana Spurl, and I'm looking at our Director of Corporate Services, Cassie Pittman, our City Clerk, Stacey Pratt, and Arlene Mullins, who is there behind the scenes always to support us. I think the City of Mount Pearl has done a good job up to now breaking the bias. There's more room to grow. We have some non-traditional roles. We have some traditional roles in the city that are not necessarily filled as diverse as we want. But I think bringing leadership to the table, which includes you fine folks here as part of our staff complement, and no disrespect intended for Director Collins or Director Antle, we are all working together to break that glass ceiling. And we've got to work closer together going forward all the time. Keep in mind, this year's theme, break the bias, to make sure that we don't fall into patterns of the past, to make sure that we keep an open mind. And I can trust that all of my colleagues, but especially my female colleagues and our staff, will constantly remind us if we're not breaking the bias, and will take us to new elevations, ultimately to break that glass ceiling. So it's a pleasure to work with you all. I'm going to end by also putting a big shout out to, I'm a sports guy. I got to end with this little sports story. But Christine Sinclair is one of the best female soccer players that ever came out of, that ever played on the world stage. Christine has led our country, Canada. They won the Olympic gold in England, I believe it was 2 years ago. They beat England in the gold medal game. She was a trailblazer. And by providing examples of people who thrive with success under adversity, I think it was to your point, Deputy Mayor Kiley, about the Girl Guides. It's the example we set. To watch a game where women's soccer is being played and to be cheering for the Canadian side as much as we would for the male side, I think that shows we've come a long, long way in our perspective, and what we support as a community, and the example we set for our daughters and our wives, our spouses, our aunts and uncles, all of those people in the world. Dana, I'm going to turn it over to you. You get the final say tonight. You're the leader of our city from the staff point of view. How does it feel being the head of an organization that's breaking the bias?
It feels great. Thanks, Mayor, for giving me the opportunity, and thanks, Council, for all the kind words. It's, when I look at this team, it's not just the outstanding women that we have on our team, but it's the outstanding men that stand beside us in equality. That's really important. And that's how we'll break the bias, and that's how we'll continue to do it. And sometimes you have to, very deliberately push forward. It doesn't always happen organically, but we have a team here that recognizes that, and that we're doing all of the right things to make sure there's gender equality and diversity and inclusion right across the board. And I'll continue, you have my commitment, I'll continue to push that agenda to ensure we reach it. So thanks. Happy International Women's Day to all of my colleagues. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I look forward to many, many more years.
Well said. Not every meeting ends on this great of a note, but I think tonight we can say this is a great ending. Committee of the whole, how about we start, 20 minutes? So 5 after 6, will that work for everybody? And therefore a motion on Deputy Mayor Kiley and Councillor Rice. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.